Alright YouTube, in this video I'm going to tell you exactly why your accuracy is not the reason that you're losing battle royale games. It's actually your decision making. I'd say about 90% of the time your bad decisions are getting you killed in Apex Legends or any other battle royale game in general. So stick around, I'm going to give you 5 tips on how you can catch your enemies off guard, win more games, win more gunfights, and ultimately at the end of the day have more fun in general. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We are almost at 25,000, and thank you guys so much for getting me into the top 10 for the SOAR recruitment challenge. I really appreciate you guys. We're almost there. We just got to get top 3, guys. And also, I do stream on Twitch. Link will be in the description below if you want to go check me out. I do play with subs on Sundays. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so the first tip I have today is going to be called jiggle peeking. Now, jiggle peeking is when you pop out from a piece of cover for only a split second to take a shot at an enemy, and then retreat back to cover so that the enemy can't get a clear shot on you. By hugging a piece of cover and peeking like this, it will force your opponent to be insanely accurate. And if they're not, then most of their shots are going to hit the surface that you're behind instead of your actual body. Another way to jiggle peek more effectively is to wait a certain amount of time before you pop out. This will throw the enemy's memory off if you switch up the time intervals between peeks, okay? So let's say you peek out every 2 seconds, for example. The enemy is going to be watching that angle, and every 2 seconds they're going to be ready to take the shot. But let's say you switch it up and maybe one time you peek for 2 seconds, or one time you wait to peek 4 seconds. This is going to throw the enemy's muscle memory off, and they're just not going to know when you're peeking. So they're probably going to be hitting the cover and not you most of the time, or you're just going to catch them off guard and absolutely shred them. One more thing to keep in mind is that if you are behind cover, you're most likely controlling the gunfight, and that's exactly what you want to do. The enemy out in the open is not going to know when you're peeking, like I said, if you switch it up. So you're going to have full control of when to pop out, if you want to heal, if you want to take shots at him when he's pushing you. You know what I mean? The whole gunfight is in your hands at that point. Like I said, that's exactly what you want to be doing. Alright everybody, so the next little tip I have for you today is going to be called swinging wide. Now, swinging wide is when you peek one direction, but instead of just going out of cover quickly, you slide really far away from the piece of cover in order to catch your enemy off guard. Now, if you pair this with a few jiggle peeks before, the enemy will be really confused, trust me. Whether you know it or not, Apex Legends is a game of predictions, okay? Now, predicting other players' movements, angles, rotations, etc. is all that makes up Apex pretty much. So when you make the same movement multiple times, then switch it up on them, they're really not going to be expecting it. So what I like to do personally is go to from one side to another, jiggle peek a few times, and then pop out the other side, slide really wide, swing out really wide, and it's just going to be really hard for the enemy to keep track of you, okay? Their aim is going to be on one side of cover, and then it's going to have to swing all the way to the other side. So unless they're an absolute god, or they got an aimbot or something, or they're really, really accurate, you're going to have the absolute upper hand in the gunfight, and as long as you can hit most of your shots, then you won the gunfight. It's as simple as that, guys. Alright, now tip number 3 that I'm going to give you is kind of a short one. It's going to be peeking different directions. Now, similar to what I said while I was talking about swinging wide and what that can do for you in throwing off a player's muscle memory and making them predict the wrong move, so can peeking different directions. Now, if an enemy is focusing on the left side of a structure, for example, they are probably expecting you to repeat the same exact angle. So if you switch up to the right side of the structure, then they will have to have pinpoint accuracy in order to kill you, which is highly unlikely unless you're playing high-ranked games like Predator lobbies, Master lobbies, Diamond lobbies. These are going to be players with better accuracy, so just expect that you're going to have to hit more of your shots. And like I said in the beginning of the video, 90% of this game is decision making, and making the wrong move can cost you. But there is that 10% accuracy, so that's going to come into play, obviously, in the higher ranks, like I said. But peeking different directions is going to get you a lot of kills, especially in pubs. People are going to be very confused by your movements. Alright, so tip number 4 today is going to be waiting for the enemy to make a mistake and wait for them to get impatient pretty much. So mistakes. This is the reason that you guys are losing games, like the title says, not because your accuracy is bad, okay? The position that most players put themselves in sometimes is absolutely mind-blowing. Whether it's dropping from high ground, pushing in the wide open with no cover anywhere in sight, or just using like a shotgun from 20 miles away. I'm telling you, these are the reasons you guys are dying and losing every game that you play. Instead of making these mistakes, you have to be patient and force your enemies to make the mistakes. Let's say if you're on high ground and an enemy is below you, you have to wait until they push up to you, okay, and expose themselves, like I said, with no cover, and then you can fry the guy and then you can kill him. Because if you're the one jumping down, you're gonna get like double teamed, triple teamed. It's just not going to be good. You have to wait for the enemy to make the mistake, and then you pounce on it, and you have to take the opportunity, okay? Crypto, for example. Let's make another example up. Crypto, if you send an EMP out and destroy a bunch of Watson fences and their ultimate and whatever else is there, you have to be pushing that right away in order to capitalize on the broken shields and the no fences that are going to be up, okay? You just have to play smart, wait for the enemy to make their mistakes, and pounce on them. Alright, and last but not least, the final tip in this video is going to be constantly changing angles during gunfights. As you can see in the background footage there, I am constantly jumping up onto structures in order to move the enemy's crosshairs up, down, left, right. Like I mentioned before, obviously jiggle peeking, swinging wide, switching directions. These are all going to change the enemy's cursor or crosshairs from one direction to the other. That's exactly what you want to do. You never want to have them just focused on you and all they have to do is press the trigger. So that's why you want to constantly change angles. Remember guys, get high ground whenever possible. Barely peek all over the top of the high ground so that they can barely see any of your body. You want to always have the advantage in this game, and I've talked about it in so many videos now. Like I said, make sure you have the high ground, constantly change the angles. And I hope you guys did enjoy this video. It's been Sweat, and I will catch you in tomorrow's video. Peace out.